Welcome to the Now What podcast. I'm Darryl Elliott, and I'm here with the Fantastic Four -1 today.
Yes.
Archbishop Darel Chase is a little under the weather. Our prayers for him.
Absolutely.
I'm here with Myneca Ojo and Regi McClurkin.
Our queen, yes, absolutely.
Yes, before we get started, we want you to like, share, subscribe to all of our channels here on Believe Broadcasting. Make sure you tell somebody that we're here.
Yes.
And we really appreciate your viewership. We see those views and we see you. We want to hear from you and just keep the train moving. But I want to thank everybody for just participating in democracy. We're trying to get it going, participating and making a more perfect union. Just keep on fighting the good fight. Hey, family, how you doing today?
Hey, Brother Darryl, we're fine. All of our voices are kind of raspy today, but we're here. It's a good thing.
Yeah, we're all feeling it.
Right.
Myneca's moved from the alto section to the tenor section today.
I'm down to the bass bird.
Right, there you go.
I'm still trying to get it together here, so everybody bear with us. If you see a little sneezing, a little coughing, or whatever,
yes. And a little
we got a whole lot to talk about today.
Right.
Well, it's a whole lot to talk about, but we're only going to really cover two things today because they're big enough in themselves to discuss. Mm-hmm. So let's get right to it, y'all. Today it just dropped an email from Jeffrey Epstein.
Yes.
Mentioning Donald Trump several times, directly putting his imprint on the Epstein scandal. So I'm going to play this news clip and we're going to come right back from here.
Good, great.
Oversight Committee has just released new emails from convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Some are focused on President Trump. Jay O'Brien has the details. Good morning, Jay.
Yeah, George, good morning. These are records that the department, or rather the House Oversight Committee, subpoenaed from the Epstein estate. Reams, thousands of pages worth, released this morning by Democrats on that panel, several mentioning President Trump by name.
This morning, the bombshell release of what House Democrats say are emails to and from deceased convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, several referring to President Donald Trump by name. In an April 2011 email released by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee, lawmakers say Epstein wrote to his now convicted accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, 3 years after pleading guilty to sex crimes involving a minor, telling her, "I want you to realize that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Unnamed victims spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned." According to the released emails, Maxwell responds, "I have been thinking about that." But this summer, in a recorded interview with the Department of Justice, Maxwell told Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, the president's former lawyer, she never witnessed Trump act inappropriately.
"I never witnessed the president in any inappropriate setting in any way. The president was never inappropriate with anybody. In the times that I was with him, he was a gentleman in all respects."
Shortly after that interview, Maxwell was moved to a minimum security prison camp, prompting criticism she received special treatment. Committee Democrats also releasing this January 2019 email, where Epstein corresponds with author Michael Wolff less than 6 months before the financier would be charged again, this time with sex trafficking of minors. Discussing President Trump's repeated claim he kicked Epstein out of his Palm Beach club, Epstein writing, "Trump said he asked me to resign, never a member ever. Of course, he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop." President Trump has denied any knowledge of Epstein's alleged crimes.
It's a hoax. It's started by Democrats.
After Epstein's arrest in 2019, Trump said he hadn't spoken with him in 15 years. And earlier this year, Trump claimed the reason he banned his one-time friend from Mar-a-Lago in the mid-2000s was because Epstein stole Trump's club staff, including young women.
He took people, and because he took people, I said, don't do it anymore. You know, they work for me. And he took... beyond that, he took some others. And once he did that, that was the end of him. I didn't like when they steal people. I don't like it.
And no response yet from the White House on the release of these emails. Meantime, right up here on Capitol Hill, in just hours, Speaker Mike Johnson will swear in Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva. The Speaker has prevented her from 7 weeks now from taking her seat. She says one of her first orders of business will be signing that petition, providing the last signature it needs to force a vote on the House floor for the release of thousands of other pages of the Department of Justice's Epstein records. Once she does that, the clock starts ticking down to that vote, expected in the coming weeks, George.
Yeah, we're going to be watching that. And Jay, we also saw what you played in that piece there from Ghislaine Maxwell. In that interview she did with the Trump Justice Department, she said she had never seen Donald Trump act inappropriately. That's not necessarily inconsistent with the email that was just released.
The email there, George, says that she was aware of what Epstein refers to in that email, which is, as Epstein says, President Trump's interactions with an unnamed victim whose name is redacted in that email. It doesn't necessarily conflict, but she went very far in her deposition to say she never saw the president do anything inappropriate. So with these additional emails and more that are expected to come, and more, by the way, that the committee has and the Department of Justice has, it just ramps up the scrutiny on what she told the DOJ.
No question about it, Jay. Thanks very much.
All right.
Wow.
So you have maybe not seen him do anything, but I did hear about aiding and abetting. Or,
yes.
I did hear about being known, knowing a crime is being committed.
Exactly.
And the cover up, I heard, is worse than the crime.
Always. And the reality is, she doing that deposition, it's obvious she's lying. She was lying because she's seen, a lot. Just the mere fact of her saying, I have been thinking about that as well. Common sense tells me she would say anything she could to, try to exonerate the president at this point. Because what happened immediately after that deposition? She was moved to that other prison. Right. So, like I said, it's no way, with the release of all these new emails, it's going to clearly show that she was lying. And there's nobody as of yet, because they've been questioned, no one has been able to determine why she was given such preferential treatment, other than the fact is, they hung that carrot in front of her, dangled it in front of her, saying, if you say, you don't know nothing about this, they thought that was going to be over with it. They had no clue. They thought they can keep control of the narrative. They thought that they can keep from ever having them released. But now with the new young lady that he has to swear in today, there's no getting around it now. He can't put it off like he has for 7 weeks. I guarantee you with the other he didn't say 1,000 emails. He says reams. Reams are quite a bit. So they can have realistically over, 50,000, 100,000 pages of documents and things like that. And all of those things. And keep in mind, Pam Bondi herself initially said that Trump's name was all in it. And then all of a sudden, remember they miraculously disappeared and all of that type of thing. So the stuff is coming home to roost, like Malcolm said. The chickens are coming home to roost. And now that the Democrats do have control of all those files that they got directly from the Epstein estate, a lot more is going to be coming out. And I guarantee you, it's going to all clearly go right to the doorstep of Donald Trump himself.
Yeah. Myneca?
It's really sad because I really believe that Donald Trump has, normalized this type of behavior through his interaction. And this was, and whatever's in that email, I'm very certain that went about as this is just run-of-the-mill business. This is just how we do things. And for me, someone to get involved at that level, and I understand having his fame and wealth and everything, that you'd have access to a lot of people, many of them being scrupulous, but to get to a point where you're actually delving into his organization and understanding that there were underage girls in there, exactly. It sounds like a sign of building trust. It also sounds like something very transactional. And it also appears to me that Trump was engaging in some behavior himself, had to be involved in actually putting that in an email of some sort. So, you know, this man, you know, is
You gotta go.
yeah, he's just got to go for so many reasons.
Right.
And,
It's
but
like
just
where he began.
horrendous.
And he also said he had no contact and no communications with this man for the past 15 years. Yet that report just said as recently as 2019. Now, you know, like I said, I'm not a mathematician, but I know 2019 was just 6 years ago. And like I said, that's nowhere near, 15 years. That's not even, half of the time. But I mean, at the end of the day, everybody knows the man is who he is. I mean, he is not changed to who he's been since the 70s and the 80s. It's just he's been able to be put in a position where he could capitalize on his racism, his misogyny, his arrogance, his, just being who he is. And like I said, pulling the scare back so other people like him, because of their fear that now they're becoming a minority, they made, like I said, took the robes off and made it fashionable to be openly racist again. I just have to, like I said, I'm holding on to the belief that I believe every word in God's word is true. And so he has to be held accountable, not, when he crossed over, but we're going to have to see the evidence of it on this side as well. And for everybody, the cohorts and all the people who have bowed and taken a knee to this man, not realizing the rest of their lives, history is going to clearly show that they too were enablers for this stuff to continue far beyond what it was supposed to be, or should have or could have been.
Right. And that's
that
the
was
thing.
Powerful clip, Darryl. Thanks for sharing that clip. That was powerful.
Yes, that was.
Yes. And now, the greater question that's going to face those who supported him is, are you really, you supported him knowing how corrupt he is?
Yes.
Now this is going to be a real test as to how far you are willing to walk with corruption, and quite frankly, what reprehensible behavior you're willing to go, and because at some point your vote cannot be about the economy.
Thank you.
At some point, and I was really thinking about this the other day, is that, is that all Americans care about, is their pocketbook? I mean, do we have any other values? Do we hold anything else dear? I mean, it seems that we're not concerned about honor. We're not concerned about valor in case of talking about our soldiers. We're not really concerned about these other virtues that I remember at least hearing about, even if America didn't live fully up to it. We know it did not. But at least it was a concept. It was something that you would hear about and it was spoken about. But the question is, in this moment, have we descended so far that you are willing now, in the face of hardcore email evidence, it came from his estate, that this is real, it's authentic, authenticated. Are you willing to really, really ride with someone that is not only willing to stand by and at least be a witness, a party to this, but now who will go through all kinds of lengths of destroying this country to keep us distracted?
The whole country, yeah.
From this coming out only because it's embarrassing.
Right. But I think a lot of them will follow the Mike Johnson, playbook. Oh, I know nothing about that. I haven't read that yet. I haven't seen that yet. I heard about it, but I have not discussed that yet. But at the end of the day, there will be a day of reckoning. I honestly believe that, and I just feel it within my spirit that it's going to be more sooner than we expect. Because when all is said and done, I just don't see. Even if you're willing to lie to John Q. Public, even if you're willing to lie and stand on this foolishness, because of your political affiliation, how do you go home and look your children in their eyes and your grandchildren, your family members, your church members? How do they go back? And we've seen the evidence of that as well, because they all refuse to do town hall meetings. And for 7 weeks, they've been on an extended vacation, all because they was trying to keep this young lady from being sworn in and keeping this stuff under wraps. She's already stated within 5 minutes of her being sworn in, that's the first thing she's going to do is be that 200 and what is 18th or 219th signature. So that, the Democrats will have every right and the authority to pull all that stuff back now and release it to the public. The only bad part is like too many people have become punch drunk to it, to the point that one half don't want to hear about it no more, and the other half is willing to still buy into the lie of saying this is just a Democratic hoax and all that type of thing. Even as you said it, Darryl, the proof is right there before their eyes. I just believe there are enough people in America now. We're willing to stand now and take this man on, because everything is shifting. I'm disappointed in what has happened, but I understand why they had to do what they had to do to get the government open. And I'm all for that, because I was tired of seeing the suffering of all of those military families, the TSA workers, the air traffic controller. I have two friends who are air traffic controllers. And I mean, they're on the verge of losing everything because their landlords wouldn't work with them. Their cars are up for repo. And so, like I said, I'm all for that, but they got to hold this man. It got to go to the top. And he's going to use all these little minions. And then, let me just say this, and I'm going to be quiet. Then you take a Marco Rubio, you take Cash Patel and all these. These are the same people who back in 2016, 17, 18 said the man wasn't even worthy of ever running for office. He wasn't qualified. He was the worst scum of the scum. And now Marco Rubio is just sitting back like a little puppet on a string going along with it. So the chickens are coming home to roost, but thank God I think we're closer to the end of the nightmare than we were, not too long ago.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting now to see where this really goes. It now seems, Mike Johnson knows that he can't stop the swearing in of the Congresswoman from Arizona to vote, and what's going to happen from there. The next question becomes, how many?
Go there, Darryl. Can I answer a little bit of that? Because I didn't really and the reason why I want to say something about that is because I see something else happening here. When you asked the question about, at what point do you stop? I said, well, there's been many points that they can stop Trump, but they only will stop Trump if it begins to impact them going toward 2026.
Oh, yeah.
So this is what I want to look at now. We know he's had so many infringements that he could be called on to potentially get to a point where he's being considered for another impeachment.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing something on the House side that's a little different. We saw what happened with the Senate, right? And they're kind of folding toward this thing here. Mike Johnson is getting a little scared because these these 2025 elections and these local races. If the Republicans aren't scared about some of the shifts in the state houses nationally, then you have a problem. And there's no way that I cannot not connect what's happening in those state races and with the gubernatorial races in Virginia and New Jersey and some of the state house races in Georgia, the flip of the Senate in Mississippi, with solid red majority, for years. Even in Texas, some races, but in Pennsylvania, we talk about those so many numerous races. So at the point right now, Johnson may be able to stop the Affordable Care Act at this point. He may be willing to open up some of the Epstein files. And so he will swear her in because now they need to have the leverage on Trump just in case they have to move past him and all of this dies. Now, so that's where I'm seeing now because, you have no permanent friends in politics, and you have no permanent enemies. When it's time to cut you off, it's time to cut you off.
It's cut you. That's
Right.
So
No, absolutely. I think they're watching what's happening on these lower races because that's an indicator of what's going to happen on the bigger scale. And we could find that these red-leaning areas could end up shifting. I mean, some of these
they started. Yes,
these areas were Democratic before, so they had more Democratic representation. You got to realize a lot of Trump people are former Democrats.
Yeah.
So we have to see that Texas may not even matter. They may have hurt themselves to some degree in Texas.
Well, they did, yes.
Of the Latino population in those heavy Latino areas where they were banking on Latinos to vote for Trump, but he's losing. Are we at the point that we can say he's hemorrhaging support within the Latino community?
Yes.
And so I haven't really seen any numbers on that, but there's no way that he could not be losing some support from them, especially with the ICE incidents. And
exactly. They published some numbers. They have published some numbers with the Latinos and his support between. And I just saw this on Monday, I think it was. I was watching CNN, and they started doing some numbers of showing how he's lost the support. And they jumped, from last year, 79% down to less than 42% now. Right. And it's going down each week. With every time they publish more things about these raids by ICE, it's making news. And like they said, it's getting to the point that they don't think he will even have 20% of the Latino, Hispanic support by the time they get to, the midterms next year. Because, the only ones who are still trying to support him are those people who, like I said, are directly affiliated with, the Republican Party through marriage or, whatever like that. And they are in his pocket. But as a whole, knowing that their families have been, every interview I've seen, they are all saying how much they regret their votes now. But when I saw that dropping from the 70s all the way down to 42%, that speaks volumes. And just since the election last week and things like that, they're doing this running tally, and it's showing all of those people are moving away because they are the ones more than anybody else have been directly impacted by all the ICE raids. They can't work. All the landscapers, all the people who was working the farms, they can't even go to work now because they're so afraid of being, deported and things, rounded up and things like that. So he's lost that support forever. He's lost that support.
Yeah, and he has a strong sense of what will give him support and what won't give him support. He does know that, but this is why he's trying to rig the system. But the problem is that what you can't do is rig people's opinions. So you can draw as many lines as you want to, but that won't stop people from changing their minds about you. So if he loses a lot of core support, and now it's so many fractures now coming within MAGA. And here's the other part. they think that they're trying to accelerate a succession plan. You can see that.
Oh yeah, you can see it. Yes,
but I don't think it's going to work. If y'all want,
no way it can work, right?
If you want to hear my opinion about it, I don't see it working because J.D. Vance is not Donald Trump.
Exactly.
And no one else is Donald Trump. So this could very well be the case that the movement will die with the man. You know.
Exactly. Yes, I believe that.
I agree.
Because nobody's going to want to be affiliated. See, that's the irony right there. Mm-hmm. After the fact, all of those diehards out there, MAGA, when he's dead and gone, they're going to be just like back in Germany. Nobody's going to want to be, associated, and all that type of thing. Because the most meaningful thing that has happened to me that has been more impactful than anything else is the fact that Mississippi, they were able to flip Mississippi.
Yeah.
That right there was a wake up. Because see, keep in mind, they have a public persona and then they have that private persona within the Republican Party. And their little meetings and everything else, they are all running scared now because they realize I'm up for re-election next year. I'm going to lose my seat because people are not going to forget what you said. People are not going to forget your actions. So anytime that was the nail in the coffin when they saw that Mississippi House was able to be flipped like that. And it's not just Mississippi, like I said, Georgia, they're making gains in Georgia, so everywhere you look between now and we have less than, because this is the 12th, so we have less than a year now to get to November 5th next year.
Right.
But it's coming. The writing is on the wall. The handwriting is on the wall.
Right. So we think we're going to keep our eyes on this development and what's going to be what I'm looking at is the overall impact to his base. The only number that matters to me is watching the base. That's the number we need to move. Anything else, if there's going to be any change concerning his power and his influence over Congress, is going to be coming from the base. So I want to move to the next thought. We came up with the Democrats. They have decided to end their standoff with the shutdown.
Yeah.
Democrat left-leaning media, a lot of people I know that are Democratic supporters or Democrats, they were not happy with the decision for the Dems to cave. But let me say this though. The word is that the Dems still want the shutdown. First of all,
exactly.
First of all, do you agree with that assessment? And secondly, do you think it is worth, because they didn't really get much out of it, do you think it's worth now enduring this next round of pain to solidify this political victory for the Democrats? Do the people need to feel what the Republicans are going to do to further drive home that they're not for the American people?
Myneca, you can lead us in on that because you have.
So, I mean, it's there is a lot with what is going on. The Democrat, there were two houses that were involved in the decision. This is the 8 Democrats of the Senate that are going to vote mildly with the Senate, move away from the Democratic view, which in my opinion, puts the Senate at play to move forward with the legislation. Of course, you only have the House to work with. this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, is that this quote unquote compromise without a compromise
Right.
Initially at its front face looked like it was a cave in, and that the
Right.
more conservative Democrats are just relying on some old fashioned handshake type contract to move forward with this. And really, that's all you're relying on. And then what they're, of course, saying in the background is that we just can't keep people just shut off and
Right.
this, that, and the other. And that we'll just have to rely on something in the future. In my mind, I want to believe something more rational, like the sense that we're going to move forward as a Senate. We're going to go ahead and vote with it on the auspice that maybe in 2026 we can get rid of some of these people and then revisit this.
Right.
Or we're going to look at what's happening in the House and Mike Johnson just simply shutting this down and stating that we may have to move forward with the Epstein files.
Right.
We gotta swear in Gravalia and
the name, right? Yeah.
whatever her name is, and we have to swear her in. But the third thing is that we're not going to move forward with putting the Affordable Care Act on the agenda, because if they don't do that, that means it goes to the next session for consideration. But again, that saves 17 million people today. But I don't want people to believe that this is the type of negotiations that we want to go on, that we're hinging on the idea that a party at any time could come back and say, oh, well, we got the Senate and we're not going to put it on the agenda today, but we may put it on before the 2026 election. I mean, we could put it on at any time that we're in session. So it doesn't give a lot of leverage for Democrats. It still puts the power in the hands of the Republicans to kind of use this leverage at any time to negotiate pretty much anything that they want to do, something that's probably not at the forefront, like 16 million people losing their health care, but maybe infringe on some other civil rights issues that I'm concerned about, that they'll use that power to leverage somewhere down the line. In my opinion, the Senate made a big mistake, and I would have preferred to have had it a gridlock. And I'm going to tell you right now, some of the federal employees, they are going to be okay. I mean, I know in Maryland, things like this happen. Most federal employees do have an understanding of shutdowns, and they know it's always possible.
Right.
So, and most of them make fairly decent money. So, they may be at food banks and so on and so forth. And I probably do the same thing too, because you don't want to get behind on anything, especially when the perception in our economy is that everything is going up and we got these tariffs and we may not be able to get anything. I see people still spending, and and I don't know if it's out of fear or what it is. But right. I do want America to wake up to say that, again, there are so many infringements that Trump has done.
Oh, my God.
Administration.
Where do you begin?
You can pick and choose
right.
in any case as to what true leadership is. First and foremost, somebody coming into the Social Security system and just take it over and just firing people, the way he had. I still want to remind America, this is a man who bankrupts casinos.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that takes a special kind of talent.
That takes a special type of talent, yeah. A special type of gloved hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not once, not twice, with over 5 times. I mean,
taking money. Yeah.
Right.
Brooke.
Reggie.
You know what? Myneca summed it up so very well. Because at the end of the day, my heart just grieves for America, because the stain of what we've allowed to happen, and we know it wasn't because the fact that he got the popular vote. We know he just strategically did what he had to do to get the electoral college votes. But the stain of what this man has done worldwide is going to be, like I said, one of the darkest blemishes on our American history. They could be talking about this 50 to 100 years from now, how America's democracy was brought to the brink by a man who never gave anything to America, but was so narcissistic that everything he did was to enrich and power and, himself and his family. And I'm still upset about that, because if any of us thought that Obama would have done just 1/100th of one of the things he had done, he would have been tried, impeached, convicted, and everything else, and possibly taken before a firing squad, literally. But to see that we have allowed, he was able to manipulate people who were supposed to be intelligent, sane, sound-minded people to buy into this craziness. It just shows me the reality is, even 200-300 years later, we have never evolved from the reality of white supremacy, racial disparity and hatred, and just outright bottom line racism. So our great-grandchildren are going to have to still be dealing with the aftermath of what has happened. But it's like Myneca said, when it comes to what's going on from the political side of it, I just hope America, we will wake up to the realization it's time to just purge people from the rolls. Everybody who has ever been part of his interactions, no, it's time to,
sorry, Reggie.
We
got the video there.
To my screen.
Yeah, there you are. You're back. Go ahead.
Okay, but it's time to just let them go. So that's where we are. That's where we are. And I just pray that God will grant me the grace and the ability to just live to see beyond this, because I would hate to leave this earth in the current state that it's in. But, God is in control. So I'm just going to trust and not doubt and just hold on. But Myneca, thank you for tying that up like that, because you really did put it out there the way it needed to be put out there.
Yeah, I'm thinking something else is going on. I want to also say just quickly on the diversity aspect of it, and the racial healing, the racial education, is that we're not doing enough of it, and most of America still tends to believe that we're in denial and that we're moving forward. You cannot move forward with just conversation. You cannot move forward with just dealing with each incident incidentally. It has to be more structural in nature. It has to be a part of what you do. And what we see is that we are talking more about racial issues in this country because the Republicans are talking about issues of race in this country. They immediately went after affirmative action. They immediately went after men who have they went after women with the thing that women, and I always thought they could too, but why was that even a big deal? But men who take care of their children and pay child support should be able to claim them as 50% on the taxes. I think in most cases that they are. But why was that an issue? And then thirdly, the strike down of the disadvantaged business enterprise. So that really states that you cannot use racial or gender categories to determine your social disadvantage. So if you want us to stop talking about race, which I will not stop talking about
Thank you. Amen.
And I've been having my spars on race, but because everybody's like, well, what about the other marginalized groups? I'll fight for them too. But right now, I got to fight for what's in front of us right now. And I need people to realize, I know you're exhausted hearing about the racial, issues in this country or the discrimination, but I'm going to still fight for it. We need to continue to fight for it, and you're going to hear it until we can do it. Because if the racial discrimination is not stopping, if we're not moving forward in this country, and we are not, we're thinking of different ways to,
Exactly.
to eliminate people based on what racial category they belong to, uh, and then utilize this as a social construct. Then what do we do in this country? So no, we're not there yet. But Trump and this Project 2025 is keeping it at the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and what we have to. This is my take about the shutdown. You have to get off of you. They had to get off of this somewhere.
Yes.
Because merely because the Republicans don't care. So
Yeah, right.
you have that dynamic, but it's not wrong for progressives or Democrats or those on the left to not be happy with them giving in, because they feel like that they always give in.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to feel that they are going to have people that are strong to fight.
Right.
But I think that there is a medium place with this that people will come to, that two things can be true in this case. You want someone to fight all the way to the carpet with these people, but you have enough compassion to understand that not everybody is a high level ranking government worker. Maybe that.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't make the same money. You have people. You were dealing with the benefits issue over SNAP, and he was holding that hostage, of which is still going on. Just to let everybody remind everybody,
Right.
And so there are a lot of dilemmas here that do affect real people.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, Reggie, landlords, landlords, you can work with your people.
Right.
But, you have people that were not getting any type of help with their landlords.
Not whatsoever.
So two things can be true in this manner. I can certainly not only see both sides, but I can actually embrace both sides for where they come from. And we now know that the narrative has at least been shaped,
Right.
that we know the story is laid out, and who has been revealed, right? So I think if nothing, it showed who's for what, and people will be able to make decisions more clearly when the midterms come. And it could really greatly affect Donald Trump's support for the other things, because then people will less trust him when that time comes. All right, guys, I'm going to take a quick break, and then I want to get to another topic for a second, and we'll come back on the other side. Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Introducing our Small Business Make More Save More package from Payments Factory. Increase your business revenue by offering your customers more options of when and how to pay. Surveys show that 35% of small business customers are interested in paying by text to their phone. That number almost doubles to 62% of people under the age of 35 who prefer to pay by text message. Our Make More Save More package allows you to send payment requests to your customers via text message and email, all while eliminating complex credit card processing fees with this simplified program. In addition, you have access to next-day funding, real-time reporting of all transactions and payments, and 24/7 access to your online merchant portal and statements. Our free terminal program is available to merchants that meet certain qualifications and would like to take in-person payments via chip cards and contactless payments, such as Google Pay and Apple Pay. Act now to also receive a $25 dining certificate redeemable for 6 months worth of digital savings coupons at your favorite chain restaurants, or $25 certificate to visit and support a local favorite restaurant. Speak to a representative today to see how Payments Factory can help you increase your bottom line. Schedule an appointment to learn more about this program and how we can help your small business to make more and save more today.
Payments Factory is a subsidiary of Datum Technologies. And hey, guys, good news on that note, just to let you know. We just put out a press release yesterday or the other day that Diadem just signed off on a major alliance and partnership with the largest processor in the world. And that actually closes the loop in the Diadem universe of all of our payments partners. We now have strategic alliances with the 6 largest processors in the world. So if you need payments, anything regarding any type of payments, no matter what the business or background, we got you covered.
Congrats to you.
Thank you. All right, guys. Here's a thing that I think deserves a little bit of our attention. And me being the business guy around here, me being the capitalist, as I say, of the group, I couldn't let this one slide. I had to bring this one to light. Well, there's a bright idea in the land. And that bright idea is 50-year mortgages. You can now get a home and die owing on it.
50-year, this man's
50-year mortgages, and according to Forbes, as you see here, his 50-year mortgage would save you about $119 a month while doubling the interest you pay over the long run, UBS estimates. So 50-year mortgages, guys. Trump is looking out for you, ain't he?
You know what? Wait a minute. Let me just say this, and I don't want to cuss.
That's what I'm talking about.
If that's not the craziest thing, it just shows you this is the man that says he knows about everything. He knows about everything. He knows more than anybody else about everything. Everybody I know who's ever had a mortgage wanted to get less than 30 years, if they could afford to. So this genius in his own mind thinks the ideal solution is to make it a 50-year mortgage. So that means when a kid buys a house at 20 years old, they're going to pay that off till they're 70 years old. And they end up paying triple the amount of the house. But now we understand why all of his casinos went bankrupt. Because this man, and Darryl, I'm surprised you didn't mention this part of it as well, because somebody did leak his transcripts. Did you see that report?
No.
Transcripts has been released from the school that showed he has a very severe low IQ.
Those, yes.
Those, yes. Yeah, that was just released. Somebody leaked it. I just started seeing the reports on it yesterday. So I guess over the weekend, somebody went all the way back, and they're so angry with him, they leaked his actual, transcripts.
Right.
So, but a 50, when I saw that, I did think about you, Darryl. When I saw that on the news, I said, well, that's good. We got to talk about it today when we come on. But that's the craziest asinine thing I've ever heard in my life. 50 years more. Everybody I know trying to get 15 years if they can and pay it off in less than 10. But he wants people to say, and like he said, $119 is what you're going to save, but you're going to pay $500 extra $1,000, because of the longevity of the interest rates. But he's a genius.
50 years, Myneca. I mean, that'll stir up the pot for everybody. That'll get them lining up at the mortgage window.
Right. They don't care. We've seen incidents of this happening. I've always thought 30 years is too much. But most people are not buying homes at 20 and at 28. If you're smart, you are. You know, if you're smart, you're getting married at a young age, stand with someone, live a simple life, and move forward and do that. But most people ain't doing that. So, yeah. So the fact is that you'll never own the home, and you never really own them anyway, because
taxes are looming.
I look at how much I'm paying for the mortgage and then everything else, and my taxes. You know, I'll be paying for the rest of my life. My brother and his wife just paid off their house a few years ago. Their taxes are more than the mortgage and everything else.
I got something to that. I'm sitting up here. I've had a couple large houses, and I'm thinking about I went for less grass, but now I'm sitting up here thinking about more grass.
Right.
So the homes, because we got to have a gardens, people. So, but when the homes I was looking at, and Myneca, you certainly know about York taxes. The taxes on the houses that I was looking at, they trump the mortgages. And the calculus is, okay, do I just decide to become a renter? I mean, because it's always still good to own, and so everybody don't think I'm saying that. But the mantra is, it's really people with money are the ones that can afford to be renters more than those who don't have money. That's the saying. But to have a 50-year mortgage, just conceptually, is so far out there that it is difficult to see anybody supporting this. Of course, we know somebody will, because hope behavior is never based off of logic. But just the thought of a 50-year mortgage, and you graduate nowadays, the average college graduate is going to be between 22 and 24 years old.
Exactly. Right.
So you're talking about, and then usually you're not capable of yet owning a home yet, because you're not credit worthy enough yet to buy a house straight out of college, because you don't have enough income, typically, just on average. So you may not be. I bought my first home at 25. Right. So take even me as an example, who was a fairly young homeowner at 25. You mean to tell me I don't own my house until 75 years old?
80.
Now,
80.
Right. 80.
80.
So,
80, right.
So the life, and now you're fighting against life expectancy. Let's not forget that.
Yes.
Which they're banking on. Just know they've already did the numbers, people. They're banking on life expectancy working in their favor. And for those of you who don't know the term, just look up the term actuary science.
Yeah.
They know how long you're typically going to live against the amount of money you're going to earn over a lifetime.
Exactly.
And there is a reason. Until the tech boom happened, the richest companies on the planet were insurance companies.
Yes, right.
So they have actuary scientists that already do the numbers. They've already figured it out. And they know that chances are you won't even be able to finish that. You will be 69 years old facing a repo. That's what's gonna happen. You're gonna
get sick.
Oh my God.
Because you are no longer able of body, and in a lot of cases able in mind to work.
This is so crazy.
And earn money. And given the state of Social Security by then, and pensions and pensions not probably being what they used to be.
Oh, no, they're gone.
They're going to be gone. They're going to be gone.
They have already figured out a way to own everything, and you have nothing.
Can you see somebody 75 years old? Don't take my car. Don't take my
Right. When you're 70, a lot of people typically reach an age where they know this is my last car note. They'll buy that one last car that they know they're going to just ride till the wheels fall off, because they're going to retire. They don't want a payment. But now you're talking about selling them with a home, a mortgage, and they have no way of sustaining that payment. That's what we're looking at.
It's beyond crazy. It's even beyond crazy to just I grieve for those people who are crazy enough to think that's a good idea. Because you got some of those people. I'm not going to even call them out by state, but we got some people who actually going to think that Trump comes up with good ideas. Let's get us a 50-year mortgage. And and to think that here you are, typically, like you said, you're not getting out of college until you're 24, 22, 24. You're not going to be established until you're 30. So you're talking about from 30 to 80, I'm going to be living on this house. And then by the time you get to, like you said, 78 years old, you're going to realize you have paid 3 times what the house was even originally valued at.
Right.
And interest in things like that.
Right.
And to know that this man just comes up with these off-the-cuff, crazy, stupid, nonsensical, ideas, and yet people still try to give him credit for being a smart guy.
You know what I'm surprised? I'm surprised that it actually hit the news.
Yes.
Is there anyone in the White House?
Goes right through.
Right? Is there anyone in the White House that will just look at him? Look, let me tell you what. I am not a Kellyanne Conway fan by any stretch of the imagination. Right. But the one thing we do know that she did is that she will look at him in the face and tell him that is not going to see the light of day.
Exactly.
So there's no one in there that can tell this guy,
right,
that right there, don't ever say that ever again, publicly or privately.
Right. And she lost her family and her husband and her family because even her daughter turned against her because of her support for Trump.
Supporting him.
But to know that and like you said, we don't have nobody that we know of, and that right now everything is do whatever, say whatever, long as we please the boss.
Someone said that watching him is like dealing with somebody who escaped the memory care unit.
Yes.
The thing is we know that something is wrong there. We know that it's something.
Don't go to the top floor.
Yeah, something is wrong there. I'm going to see what today's medical alert is, and we're watching. What's this? We're watching craziness on a level that Hollywood would not even think about writing a script for.
Exactly.
This is capitalism at its finest. And this is the reason why you have a democratic socialist government, which equals democracy. So if anybody heard Mondami say that, democratic socialist is a system that supports democracy, okay? Because parts of it has to be balanced with some socialist activity to make sure it protects people, like this 50-year mortgage that he is proposing, so that people can take homes that are worth $40,000 and sell them for $450,000.
Right.
And so, and also to get interest off this too. But the mortgage industry also makes money not on just the initial sale of homes, but they make money on the resale of those homes too, and foreclosures. So you don't think not going to make money on foreclosures. And there's a lot of life that can happen in a 50-year lifespan. We see it happen in a 10-year lifespan.
Right.
And so most people are not buying their homes at 20 years old. You want your children to try to do that, but they're not buying them at that rate. They're buying them in their 30s and 35.
That's right. Exactly.
And things like that. So what they're saying is initially, America, this is what if you want to be in this country, if you want to be successful, then you're going to have to pay you're going to have to pay a mortgage every day of your life and existence. And I think 30 is too high, honestly.
Right. It is. Exactly.
Yeah, so I'm looking at mines too, and like, how
I made sure I got
when I do this, and people are talking about taking their equity out on the home and getting seconds and doing everything just because of what the appearance of what may be happening in the world. The bottom line is that home ownership, I believe went away years ago.
Yes.
Decades
ago. Average new home buyer is 54 years old now.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
That the average new home buyer is age 54.
And that's really sick. That's really sad. But you know what? Along with that, now, and add this to the equation, I'm seeing this in my own personal friends, relationships, family, and everything else. A lot of the young people now are requesting that they can come back home with the rent.
Yes.
And
the next market going to collapse is going to be the rental market.
Exactly. But I have a friend right now, they're remodeling their whole basement so that the daughter and her husband can live there, because both of them have, been in grad school and all that kind of stuff, and they're just entering into the marketplace. But they know they can't, they're not even thinking about buying property. And the parents' home was large enough so that they have a basement that's over, like I said, 2,500 square feet. And so they're actually remodeling. They ready to move in. Like I said, they said before Thanksgiving. And they have like a nice apartment there that if they had to go out into the general marketplace, that same apartment would cost them maybe really $4,000 a month, depending on, the location. Because like I said, out here in Howard County, I was shocked to find out 1-bedroom apartments are $3,500.
Yep.
And let's be clear. These homes are not worth what they're charging.
Exactly.
A lot of what, let's just take for instance an urban row home that you can find anywhere from Baltimore to Philadelphia, and generally those homes, I remember when those homes were $60,000.
Right.
And even then was a little high.
For what you're getting.
I mean, these homes are not very big. Many of them are 2 bedrooms, and not 3. And then you get to other areas, and those homes actually declined through erosion and over the years, and like they're absentee landlords, things like that. But the amount that they're charging for homes now has way outpaced the normal amateurization. It is way beyond what it should ever be. These homes that were 60,000 today, they shouldn't even be 100,000 today.
They really shouldn't. Raggedy houses, because you got to keep this in mind too. Because I'm one of those people. I bought a tax sale home in Baltimore, and I got that house for $19,000.
Right.
Sold it for over $65,000 after I did, roughly about $18,000 worth of renovations and stuff like that. Just cosmetic things to make it look, good. I have, curb appeal and all that type of thing. Gutted the kitchen and all that. But I got that, like I said, on a tax sale.
Yeah.
And like I said, end up putting the same amount into rehabbing the house And like I said, I was able to sell that house to get my first, townhouse out in do the Howard County thing.
Right.
And that's I left the city 40 years ago.
Right.
And, but like I said, I was looking to, and the only reason I got rid of some other things was because it's hard to be a landlord when you got hoodlums in the building. And and when it gets to the point that every month you hearing they done broke something or this done happened, they done damaged this and that. I just didn't have the patience or the fortitude to be a landlord and all that type of thing.
Right.
And just rent it out. So I just got rid of it. But yeah, and the other thing is the people, I don't know about like York and other areas, but the other thing about Baltimore that still tickles me is they still have, more than 80% of the city, especially the inner city, you can buy the house, but you don't own the land.
Yes. And do you know who owns the land?
You got
the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church owns the land in Baltimore.
Oh, the base rent that you're paying is owned by the
ground rent.
You have to pay. You can own the house outright, but you will forever have to pay that ground rent. And like he said, it's steeped in the Catholic Church. You know that's
man.
They
boy, you want to talk about some greasy dealing, boy?
I never knew what that meant, but oh wow.
But that was the craziest thing I had ever heard of because I was from South Carolina. I was like, "What you mean? I'm not gonna own the land?" I said, "Well, let me buy it." You can't buy it.
You can't buy it.
You can't buy it.
You pay.
They're gonna hold on to that draconian concept. You own your house, but you don't own this land.
Right. So yeah, how am I gonna pick up?
You don't even have an 18th of an acre of land. A row house is not even 500 square feet. I mean, I could park my SUV in my living room, so to speak, the width of it. And like you said, upstairs, most of the people that have the 2 bedrooms, they knock the wall out, make one big one. Because if you have 2 or 3, the rooms are so small, you can't get nothing but a little bed and a desk in there. Right. But yeah, and the thing is, like I said, I saw the handwriting on the wall back then because the thing that got me more than anything else was the crime and everything else. But the problem with those row houses, all of those houses are over 100 years old now. Yes. And I don't care how you fix it up. One of your neighbors can still go through their crawl space on their roof and come up to your house and come in if you haven't locked it and secured it. Because they all have those little, things on the roof. Yep. Anybody can get on the roof and walk down the whole block. Yep. And if you haven't secured it and locked it and stuff like that. And so things like that. And I just realized back then. Yeah.
Everybody, it's everybody, I am a native Baltimorean.
That's it.
So I can tell you a little bit about Maryland history. And
I was shocked to hear that.
Well, the first cathedral in the United States is in Baltimore.
Right there.
So
that's right.
It is, the Catholic Church. Yeah. Landed there, and when they landed, boy, they were taking, they were kicking, and taking names. They owned all the rent, all the ground, so they don't have to have another church service, Myneca. The offerings are flowing in from all the people that own homes. They have to pay that to the Catholic Church.
To the Catholic Church. That was yes. When I found that out, I was furious. I was furious.
So this 50-year mortgage thing is, I call it a non-starter, but we are living in the age of Trump. So, what if don't be surprised if one day JP Morgan Chase rolls a commercial out for their 50-year lifelong ownership program. You never know what might happen.
Come on, Darryl, you are a money guy.
I agree. I think it's going to happen.
That's a bridge too far. That's the bridge too far. Yeah. Nobody in their right mind, other than crazy people who, and I'm not saying it as a derogatory thing against anybody, but that would have to be a very unlearned individual who would even subject themselves to signing a piece of paper saying that they would do 100,
crazy.
Well, we're doing it for 30 now. So what's 50?
Oh my God! Oh, people, we're living in crazy town.
But I
Well,
thought everybody was trying to shift to
They
20.
can make the whole society unlearn.
yeah, they can. They can.
Yeah.
I want to close out on one thing and tell you the truth. I don't know if you guys know very much about this topic, but it made mainstream news because it was so outrageous. And I do want to bring up what is now considered the update. It is sports related, and anybody knows me, I am a sports guy all the way through. Y'all know that.
Yes.
If you all recall, a year ago, about now or near now, Luka Doncic, the famed basketball player, was the ultra superstar, the megastar, was traded from the Dallas Mavericks to the Los Angeles Lakers, and they were about to burn down the whole city of Dallas.
Exactly.
And after a year, they fired the general manager just a couple of days ago, Nico Harrison. And the reason why I'm bringing that up, well, he got fired because the Dallas Mavericks have gotten off to a bad start. But one of the reasons is because their current superstar, Kyrie Irving, those of you who may know Kyrie, LeBron's teammate when he won in Cleveland, who is a superstar himself. He's hurt for out a year. And Anthony Davis, who was traded for Luka, is now injured for a period of time. So the team does not have enough firepower to win. I'm bringing this up not from the sports part, but I'm bringing this up because every night the crowd was chanting "Fire Nico, Fire Nico." They were really angry at the general manager. But we all know decisions like that are not signed off from the general manager.
Absolutely.
The Adelson family, if you know anything about the Adelson family, the casino owners, who are it's irrelevant to say so, but they are big Trump supporters.
Yes.
They bought the team from, if you all know Mark Cuban from Shark Tank. They bought the majority stake from Mark. Mark is a minority owner, so he no longer controls basketball related decisions. He publicly says that he would not have supported that decision. And to the point that even he went to Los Angeles to support Luka in the early days, and he attended a couple Laker games when Luka was despondent, basically, because he thought he was going to be in Dallas forever. I'm bringing that up because we see in this case a black man, Nico, having to make a decision and be basically the human shield for ownership, because at the end of the day, they did not want to pay Luka, who was due.
That was it.
He was due the Supermax contract. And if you all know anything about basketball, he was drafted by the team, and he stayed with that team, and he made all the benchmarks to qualify him for what is known as a Supermax salary. And that basically makes him a $350, almost $400 million man, and now it's getting up to almost $500 million. And they said that the Adelsons did not want to pay him, so they basically rigged up a whole thing, to get him up out of there before they had to come to the negotiating table with him, which is not a negotiation when you're a superstar. It's basically, here's your contract, sign it, and you get your money. Any thoughts on that? How ownership, how ownership is hardly ever willing to take responsibility for their decisions.
Well, let me just say this. I'm always anti-owners anyway, because to me, like I said, it's always averting back to the plantation mindset. And that's what that family has been about for years. And what makes add insult to injury, they didn't want to play him, but they were willing to pay some of the ones who looked like them. Not the same. They weren't even in the same category as he was. But to see ownership has evolved to that place that, like you said, we have $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, million men and stuff like in the leagues and things like that. But yet still, they be so self-centered and so selfish. I just don't believe, Darryl, that they would have done the same thing had he been a white player.
He is a white player, but he's a Slavic player.
No, but I'm saying no, that's what I mean.
Right, American white.
He's not.
Right.
I should have said an American white, right? Things like that, because it just shows you racism is not just predicated upon a black and white thing.
Yes.
So we have that same cultural thing. If you are not one of those, if you're not the right kind of,
right,
descendant,
absolutely,
and where he came from, they consider them as like bottom of the barrel because the people there,
absolutely,
they are bottom of the barrel. They have nothing. They living in basic poverty and stuff like that. They're just as oppressed as minorities are in America, even more so. So when it comes to, like I said, the blue-eyed, blonde, American raised and born white individual, they have no problem, even when they know they're not even as good as these other players, because he was such a phenomenal person because of where he came from and as tall as he is, and he came over here and put up this kind of stats that he put up. So that was a barrier that had to be, surpassed, from the very beginning, because Darryl, it wasn't too long ago. Remember, they wouldn't even consider those players and things like that. It was a lot of talk when, we start getting these players imported here into America, mainstream and things like that. So it goes back to, like I said, bottom line, it's the plantation thing. They only have use for you as long as they feel that they have value, see value in you. Other than that, they will let you go, because when they feel they owe you, they're gonna let you go because they don't want to pay you what they know you're worth. And they would rather, not spend it on you, but get somebody else just to not give you the satisfaction of being to go back to where he came from and see he will forever, they cherish him over there from his home. So that's the bottom line. So it can be, I expected it to happen sooner or later. I was surprised when they did trade him, but the bottom line is, like I said, it's just like us. They're not gonna let you get so high and mighty, because, like I said, we're gonna have to talk about this on another show, because we definitely got to talk about what Coco Gauff just went through with the some of the other players and the lawsuit that she's just initiated and things like that. So that's on future shows. But that's my position. Racism, they have bought into, like I said, they're Trump supporters, true blue, thick and thin. They're going to be riding with Trump no matter what, even after he's out of office, because he's helped them make more money. That's the bottom line.
And we have to know that these are nations that are, like you say, considered the bottom class.
Really.
And amongst that, the Ukrainians are in that same category. So when you're looking at this whole thing, and what people need to understand historically, they don't know this, that the czars of Russia are merely cousins of the kings and of France and England. They're all family.
They need to understand that.
They're all family. Now, and Putin is an Aryan more than anything else. Exactly. And so those are the reason why do you think they're called Slavic? It means things.
Exactly.
So we have to look at this whole construct, and I'm glad you brought that up and broke that down, because we are looking at a classism that people don't
The
understand.
classism.
That Luka is basically the young European LeBron James. People didn't, and he actually plays like LeBron
Exactly.
without the level of athleticism, but the way he processes the game is like LeBron. That's why LeBron said he's my favorite player.
Exactly.
Now they're teammates, but they refuse to give this man that much money.
That's right.
Myneca, go ahead.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah, and you know, I think about that as well. And the second part, number one, is about the money.
It's right.
About the money. It may be some national origin going on, so on and so forth. But think about it too, and what I have seen business people do, especially when they take over structures, and I don't know how they do it in sports so much, but I'm just saying, just basically in America, businesses or in public organizations as well. They like to break down the organization so that they can build it up, but it also gives them an opportunity, number one, to save some money, and number two, be a kingmaker and put someone else in there that they want to be the new structural star of the Dallas Mavericks. And on the side note, WNBA had an opportunity to hire Lisa Leslie as the coach. She applied to be the coach for the Dallas Wings, and instead they chose this young white guy that they wanted to be a kingmaker. And the Dallas Wings have lost profusely.
Thank you.
Just fired him, and I'm like, how in the world do you compute not having a Lisa Leslie, you know, who is this tremendous player versus this guy who's an assistant coach somewhere else? Well, you do that is because the owners of the organization have a desire to make someone else a kingmaker in their perspective, someone that looks more like them, someone that's more like
bottom line.
They want them, so they're jockeying and they're rallying for position in the sports arena by determining who is going to be the star. That is why when it comes down to some things like the Academy Awards and Emmys and things like that, you know, unless there's some level of accountability that is set in that has diversity and culture as a part of its algorithm and determination on nothing, you can't really say that any and all of this is fair. It's like whoever owns it, well, I can make whomever I want to be the top player with the Maverick, because I'll just get rid of the one. We spending too much money on him. We'll trade him off and get somebody for whatever they get him for.
And that shows you it's a cultural thing and a classism thing, because it's the exact same reason Shedeur Sanders is having to go through what he's had to go through and things like that. They determine who's going to make, you know, the money. They determine who's going to become that superstar. And when you have people like Shedeur, who's very confident in themselves, see, that's a no-no. You know, you can't let Mazza make you think you got a mind to think of your own and you're confident in yourself. So, I mean, to see Luka and all that kind of stuff, it really breaks my heart. Like I said, here we are, 2025, and you know, I believe we've gone back to the 50s and 60s, if you want to know the truth, because of all this stuff is directly connected together. But to have a family like that who's so wealthy, who would be so what's the right word, that they would rather trade this guy than give him what he rightfully was worth and deserved.
Well, you're talking about a player that doesn't. You're talking about a player that doesn't only make money for the team. He's that level of player that makes money for the entire league.
The entire league,
right?
They know that, but they would rather forfeit that to keep him in his place, because they will not let him be elevated into their class and their perception of the hierarchy of, you know, within their race and stuff like that. Because where he comes from and hails from, no matter what, for the next 50 years, 100 years, they still can say they're at the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
So that's cultural, that's classism. And, you know, like I said, that's letting them see it's not just a thing of black and white and Hispanic and stuff like that, but even within their own race. Like that's why you go to Russia, you can see the have and have nots, and it's very obvious in Russia.
Right, and he is a bona fide global superstar, and
That's it.
and for that, it was said yesterday this was the worst trade in the past 100 years.
And that's exactly.
You
and
know,
that's what was said.
And for to be at that level, it really says a lot. And back to the Nico part of it, Nico can't even say, "Hey guys, it really wasn't my decision." He's gonna have to. He's gonna have to walk around and not say that.
He's the fall guy, and he, like you said, he has been muzzled. And like I said, he can't say anything.
I just hope he got paid good enough to stay quiet.
That's the bottom line.
Hopefully he did. Yeah, but you know, when you get in that position, you are the fall guy. So you're the new owner, and then it's like that. You know, we got to play ball this way. Unfortunately,
yeah,
you're the fall guy. Yeah.
So I figure I'd bring that up because I feel that it was far beyond a sports conversation. I think that
that's far beyond.
Yeah, and I think it's something that we should keep our eyes open. As we say, we need to stay woke, y'all. We need to see the different tactics and the different ways people move,
right?
To keep people from having what they should have. And here's the egregious part of it. They still got their money. Even if they paid him that contract, they just signed off on a mega deal this year. By which now, if you notice, the NBA is across all these different services now,
right?
Because the NBA has already cashed the check. So why didn't you just pay the man? Because you got your money. That's the other part to this. You got your money.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Right. It's beyond, like I said, it's incomprehensible of what they've done.
Right.
You just, it's no rationale to it. It does, like I said, make it make sense.
Right.
It never makes sense.
Well, guys, I want to let you know how much I appreciate you all and all of our listeners. I want to thank you all for watching us today and being with us. Make sure you give us a comment, drop us a suggestion, anything. We want you to be a part of our conversation. Make sure you also like, share, and subscribe to all of our channels here on Believe Broadcasting and support all of those who are bringing good content. And make sure that you just keep on telling someone and informing them.
That's right.
About these types of topics that we try to discuss to make hopefully your life better. Well, Bishop, we want you to get better out there. We see healing,
get better,
healing prayers and love to you, and we miss you. It's not the same when you're not here.
It is not.
Yeah, but we wish Bishop well and good healing. Everybody, until next time, I'll see you soon.
Next time, much love.